back to the channel for another Mustang video. Taking a break in between rain showers on the S10 and trying to get a little bit done on this. I went ahead and got my coil spring compressor. The one I wanted actually has these hooks on both ends and goes inside the coil spring and squashes it down so that you can fit it in there. This one actually has a fork, and I've never used one like this, but I'm pretty sure it'll work. If not, it's back to the drawing board, but this is what they had in stock, so this is what I got. So we'll go ahead and take care of that today. And I've also got some kill mat sound bender to lay down in the floorboards before I lay out my wiring for the body and the interior. So I'd like to get all that done, get my steering column and my dash in, finish button up all the wiring, and fire this thing up. Let's jump right in here, guys, and get these spindles installed. That way we can put our wheels on and we can roll this thing around. Hey y'all, Future Richard here, interrupting the footage for a quick message. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up on what went into the making of this video and explain a few things real quick. So I was having a no crank, no start issue, and initially I thought it was because I had the battery in the trunk, and I moved the battery back up front. That was not the issue. Still had a no crank, no start, and it was boggling my mind because I drove this thing in here and tore it down and then transferred everything over to this body, and it should have just fired right up. So what I found was in the passenger side kick panel there are two connectors that are interchangeable. One goes to the door, one goes to the body, and I had flopped those. So I was having an issue with the pats flashing. So initially I thought it was the pats that was the issue. That was not. But I found those connectors and flopped them. No longer an issue with the pats. Still no crank, no start. And I was checking grounds, disconnecting, reconnecting. I was checking voltages. I was probing. I was back probing. And to no avail. Right when I was about to give up, I found the culprit. It was a small harness that was wedged up underneath the HVAC box, and that connects to the fuel pump circuit and the starter circuit. So I did what I set out to do, guys, and the car is mobile, so I can get it in and out of the garage, and I can get other stuff in here. So let's get back to the footage, and hopefully you enjoy. Alexa, stop. Well, that was not ideal, guys. It wasn't fun. That coil spring compressor was kind of a pain in the butt. So I'll never be using one of them again. But it's in there. Don't mind my rusty rotor. It's new. It's just been sitting in the garage, so it'll clean up. Now on to the other side. She's starting to look like a car again. I had to go against the instructions on that compressor tool. Made it a little easier on the passenger side, and I had to do things a little unorthodox, but it's done. On to the next thing on the list. Alright, I got my kill mat all laid out. And now it's time to lay down the body harness. And I've got this 4-gauge amp wiring kit, which is going to be my battery relocation cable. And I plan on putting an amp in here, so I'll go ahead and run the RCAs and the remote wire under the carpet while I'm at it. dash and steering column are all installed and all the wiring is connected. I don't want to go too far because I still got to install my manual transmission hump, and I have to paint my airbag for the passenger side and install that. But the only wiring I got left is in the trunk, so we'll jump on that in the morning. See if we can get this thing fired up. I went ahead and sealed up my AC system and installed my AC condenser. And I also got my wiper linkage and motor installed. And I went ahead and installed my parking brake lever and cables. Got the hop shocks all installed. And my calipers. And the calipers are all bled and ready to go. And I also climbed all over this thing and double checked all my nuts and bolts to make sure everything's good and tight. So, alright, let's jump back in. I've got to install my steering shaft, my rack and pinion, my radiator and fan, and then we can put the battery in and see if this thing cracks off. Now, my radiator is out of a 98-04, and I had to Frankenstein the fan shroud by using the motor out of the 96 fan shroud in the 98-04 fan shroud to be able to make it work. So this will be coming back out, so I'm just going to temporarily fill it with water, but we'll get this in there and hopefully fire this thing up. That's all done. Let's jump in the trunk and hook up the battery. So I've got my negative battery terminal here, and I'm going to drill a hole here, put a nut and a bolt through there for my negative. I've got my positive battery terminal, and I have a 150 amp breaker to go as close to the battery as possible in case my power grounds out. This will pop versus anything catching on fire. And there you have it, guys. I almost forgot my inertia switch. I would have been lost. But this is very temporary. I will be getting a battery box. You don't want your battery just flopping around in your trunk because it can cause a fire. But as of now, I have no power going to the car until I close that breaker. So I will be turning the car over without the coils hooked up to get the oil flowing because it's been sitting for a long time. And then we'll hook the coils back up and fire this thing off. Well, guys, unfortunately that did not work, and it looks like I'm gonna have to flip the coin for the good stuff. But luckily my amp cable's already run, and when I get the new cable, I'll just fish that out and put the good cable in its place, and we'll put the battery in the back. But let me flip the camera around and show you what I got going on. I get no fuel pump. She won't crank, and she's showing low voltage on the gauge. Alright, got the battery hooked back up. I've got the coils disconnected for now. That way I can crank it for a while and build oil pressure before I fire it up. And it's a little late, so I don't want it cranking up while everybody's sleeping. So if it doesn't fire up, then I'll know I did something wrong, and then we'll go from there. Still don't hear a fuel pump. And no crank, no start. Well, that wasn't it. I obviously did something wrong or missed a connection or something. I don't know what's going on with it, but it's got me pulling my hair out. But like I said, it's late, so I'll jump back on it tomorrow, and we'll see if we can't figure out what's going on. Good afternoon, guys. So I have been out here crawling all over this car trying to figure out what the heck's going on. I've gone as far as to hook up all my lights. I got lights, I got turn signals, I got brake lights. Everything works. I did find this. So I've been checking fuses, relays, capacitors, and all my harnesses. And this is what I found. So on the passenger side kick panel area, we have two connectors that are identical. And unfortunately, I swapped them, and I had the door harness and the body harness plugged in together, and I'm thinking I fried something because I still have a no crank, no start. So we're no further than we were last night, other than all the light bulbs and turn signals work. So before we get started on trying to jump this thing off, I wanted to show you guys that I reinstalled my airbags and I reset my airbag module because that thing was beeping and driving me insane. But if you're getting an error code 52 or a 61 where the airbag light flashes 5 times and then 2 or 6 times and then 1, or any other codes, there's a 2-prong connector in under your glove box. You connect these 2 prongs together for 5 seconds, and then your airbag module will beep 5 times. Then you cycle the key off and back on, and it should just turn on for a second and then shut off, and you'll be good to go. Well, guys, unfortunately, it was a long road to get here, but she is mobile. The battery is back in the back, and she fires with the key every time. So the amp cable kit did work. We're at a point now where it should go pretty quickly, knock on wood. But at this point, all we've got left to do is to finish painting and reassemble this thing. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching. I'm sorry it took so long to get this video out, but in my intro, I have put in a little sneak peek of our next upcoming project. So now that this car is mobile, we can get it in and out of the garage, and we can get that other car in here. So I put it in there. I figured somebody might spot it, but I haven't gotten any comments on it or anything yet. But it is coming to the channel. A buddy of mine has a bunch of parts he wants to throw at this thing, and we're going to make it happen. So stick around. As always, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. And remember, if you don't put your hands on her, she ain't going to get done.